There's a moment many people quietly dread. It doesn't come with a birthday card or a sudden ache in the knee. It arrives more subtly, often in the middle of an ordinary day. You realize you're tired earlier than you used to be. Music from your 20s sounds oddly distant. You catch yourself saying, "They don't make things like they used to," and a small voice whispers, "Is this it? Am I getting old?" But the truth most of us are never told is that feeling old is far less about age and far more about perception. And more often than not, the moment we think we've started feeling old is actually the beginning of something richer, steadier, and quietly powerful. Most people expect aging to flip like a switch. One day you're young, energetic, and full of possibility, and the next you're old. But that line doesn't exist. Research consistently shows that people of all ages feel younger than their actual years. A 50-year-old may feel late 30s inside. A 70-year-old might still feel 50. The mind rarely keeps pace with the calendar. What tends to happen instead is that life adds layers. Responsibilities grow. Losses accumulate. Time feels faster because routines settle in. These changes are often mistaken for aging, when in reality they're signs of experience. You don't usually feel old because your body has changed. You feel old when novelty shrinks, curiosity fades, or your inner world becomes smaller than it once was. That's why people often point to moments rather than ages when they talk about first feeling old. It might be when parents start needing help instead of giving it, when a younger colleague becomes the boss, or when a doctor casually says, "At your age." Sometimes it's simply realizing that stress or illness takes longer to recover from than it used to. These moments can feel confronting, but they're not signals of decline. They're thresholds. They mark a shift from speed to depth, from proving to choosing, from chasing to refining. Interestingly, feeling old often arrives alongside becoming more discerning. You tolerate less nonsense. You're clearer about what matters. You stop pouring energy into things that don't feed you. This isn't aging badly. It's aging intelligently. Psychology research shows that emotional regulation tends to improve with age. People become less reactive, better at managing stress, and more capable of letting go of what they can't control. Perspective acts as a buffer against anxiety. When you've already survived heartbreak, failure, and uncertainty, you stop treating every wobble as a catastrophe. You know from experience that most things pass. There's also the quiet gift of self-knowledge. Age strips away some illusions, but it replaces them with something far more useful: accuracy. You understand your strengths and limits more clearly. You're less tempted to live someone else's version of a good life. Many people also discover an unexpected freedom as they get older. Freedom from constant comparison. Freedom from chasing approval. Freedom from feeling obliged to say yes to everything and everyone. It's worth remembering that feeling old isn't the same as being old. Tiredness, burnout, and disconnection can show up at any age. A 25-year-old who feels trapped, overstimulated, and directionless may feel far older than a 65-year-old who is engaged, curious, and socially connected. Feeling old often emerges when life becomes repetitive and meaning thins out, when days blur together and challenge disappears or becomes overwhelming. This isn't a biological problem, it's a psychological one. And that's good news because psychological aging is surprisingly flexible. Purpose, learning, novelty, and connection are some of the most reliable ways to restore a sense of vitality, regardless of the number on your birthday cake. When people say, "I feel old," what they often really mean is that they're more aware of time, less reckless, more selective, or that they don't bounce back in quite the same way. None of these are flaws. They're adaptations. Aging is the process of trading raw energy for refined wisdom. You may lose some speed, but you gain judgment. You may lose a bit of flexibility, but you gain resilience. You lose illusions, but you gain peace. So when do you actually start feeling old? For most people, the honest answer is that you don't. At least not in the way you feared. What you feel instead is a growing awareness of what matters, a quieter confidence, and a deeper respect for time. Age doesn't suddenly arrive. It unfolds. And if you meet it with curiosity rather than resistance, It becomes less about loss and more about alignment. You start feeling old not when your body changes, but when you stop growing. The moment you decide to keep learning, connecting, and choosing meaning, that feeling loosens its grip. Getting older isn't the end of vitality. It's the moment vitality becomes intentional, and that may well be the most rewarding phase of all.